Sup guys, Zanderson977 here today to do a Hunter x Hunter episode 135 review. Now, this episode overall was pretty straightforward, was pretty simple, even though it seemed like this arc has ended, with a revelation that Poof is no longer alive as we see in this episode. So Poof, the final royal guard that was left, is now dead. And we see Mereum uses N and come to the era where he's ready to talk with whoever is there available for him to talk and have negotiations with, so that he can meet with Komugi. And we see him come to this house, inside the house, in this cupboard. He knows that one of the people that he should meet is inside of it, and it's actually Palm. So he initially says to Palm that, just basically tell him what needs to be done, and he will follow their guidelines, listen to what they say, so that he can eventually meet Komugi. Now Palm, we see that the confrontation between him and Palm was crying, and Palm had a rough time in this episode because she didn't want to accept the fact that Mereum has changed. Mereum in the past was this merciless monster, as we've known him to be, ruthless, merciless. He doesn't forgive, one little mistake like that, and he's ready to be done with you. So him being the type of person that is able to show humility, humble himself, come to Palm and kindly ask Palm to tell him where Komugi is so that he can spend his final moments with her, it really threw her off, and she had a hard time accepting that. So she was there crying a lot, but eventually she led him, or she told him where he needs to go so that he would be able to meet up with Komugi. And the king really has changed. He admits it himself that he has changed. He said he doesn't know exactly what it is, but he has changed, and he's no longer the older, the former king that he once was. He knows his name, he knows his significance, he has gotten some new powers, so he seems to have a higher perspective. And even as a king, the high and mighty King Mereum bowed down to Palm to kindly ask Palm to tell him where Komugi was. King has changed a lot. So, this time when playing Gongi, Mereum states his name, tells Komugi that his name is Mereum, and she initially calls him Mereum Sama, and he says that she doesn't need to use that honorific anymore, just call him Mereum, but she sticks to calling Mereum Sama, and he says, okay, if I beat you, if I'm able to beat you, then you will call me just Mereum. And so they begin to play, and then in two of them playing their game together, we can see the closeness that exists between these two individuals. At one point in the game, Komugi begins crying, saying that am I allowed to be this happy? And then in the next couple animation, we see the memories of both of them playing Gongi, all that they've been through playing their games, and the change now that Mereum is displaying, and the togetherness, the closeness. And then Mereum finally explains to Komugi that he's poisoned, he doesn't have much longer to live, and so if she wants to save herself, then because this poison is contagious, we need to get away from him. But she continues playing anyway, and then they continue playing until it reaches a point where it gets dark, and we just hear narrations from them, Mereum asking, are you still there? And then they're playing, and then King Mereum says finally at this point that he's feeling tired and he wants to take a short nap, and then Komugi tells him Oyasuminasai, and that she will meet him in due time. So I believe this episode was a very good episode. It was a very touching episode to show such close connection and feelings with another person. It was, it demonstrated that deep bond between Mereum and Komugi. A bond that you could possibly even call love at this point, if some people want to call it that. But regardless of what you're going to call it, it's obvious that these two individuals are very close. You know, they have deep, close, strong feelings for each other. So my thoughts about this episode was a very good episode. It was deeply emotional. I liked it pretty much, especially the whole animation showing how back in the past the initial games between Miriam and Komugi are now showing them playing their final game together. Liked it pretty much. So that's it. That's my review. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Sayonara.